Hey everyone, my name's Nathan Pay, and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Crypto. We have Bog Miles here with us, head of research
Yeah.
at Blue Ocean Games Guild. Thanks for joining us again
Very
today.
excited about this one,
This
man.
is, I feel like all my passion and excitement is finally coming together now. I mean, we've got, the Mavia beta. By the time this gets up on Saturday, the beta will have been out for a full day. And
Yeah, we're so excited
right?
because a couple of us may or may not have been contacted that we will
We
potentially
have, we
be
have. So as
be
far as we can tell, there's four of
participating.
us. There's four of us that we know of. I still want to do a poll within the rest of the alliance and kind of figure out how many of us really were
Any of
selected
the
and
alliance
stuff.
members apart from us were selected. Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting, but of course, I'm sure if you're one of those people who have to wait, I'm sure it's a little painful, but at the same time, we can understand why. I mean, all game companies do this. They always try to control the rollout, test for bugs, you know.
Well, and this is also like a brand new system, like infrastructure system that has
Yes,
never been tested before. So they want to test it under load here, load here, load here, and escalate the load until they get to the top and see what breaks and
that's
where
right.
and why, and if anything will break with their infrastructure.
And a couple important things that they mentioned, like even before everyone kind of knew who was being selected and what was going on, some of the things they told everyone and told us, was, diehard Mafia fans who are willing to really take the feedback process serious. I'm sure it was very difficult for the Mafia team to select because they knew people were going to feel left out no matter
No
who
matter
they
who they
picked,
choose, somebody's bound to
right?
be left out. Yes, in the
But I
beginning.
but I do think that's smart as a company for them to do that because they really need people to help them with the feedback process more so than just jumping right into the game and playing. Now that was something that was interesting that they mentioned to us as well, and I talked to them quite extensively about streaming and content creation and what that's going to look like. And basically, they said they really want to kind of keep away from excessive streaming. So of course, at first I was like, well, what's excessive versus some? So we are definitely going to be streaming some Mavia. That's something that I'm going to get on top of right away on launch day, but I have to be a bit sensitive. So
This makes sense to
it
me
does.
because when you're rolling out a beta, like there's bound to be things that don't look super pretty, and if somebody's going to be making a highlight reel of your game, you want them to make a highlight reel of your game showcasing the good stuff and not necessarily the bad
They
stuff.
were more concerned about the bugs and like players' first impressions.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
what I'm going to make sure I do is I've got a couple different devices that I can test it on. I'm going to make sure I spend a good couple hours going through it, trying to break it, basically. Try
Mm.
to do all the button taps and all the weird things and try to figure out, where there might be some issues. Of course, I'm looking forward to doing extensive bug reports for them. I know we all are. That's how we can help,
Yeah.
right? But once I feel like it's in a stable enough place, that's when I'll start the streaming. So it's not going to be like a 0 clock, hit the button, let's all explore Mavia for the first time. I'm going to have to spend a couple hours kind of getting acquainted with it first before I'm willing to do that.
Hmm.
And then something else that I told them that they were very happy about is I'm going to put a 2 minute delay on the stream. So if I do run into any game crashing bugs or something that I need to fill
That's
out a report,
some standard procedure.
yeah, I'll be able to kind of crop that and make note of it because I do understand the impressions of the gameplay is very important to them. But really, the main goal of this beta is bug reports. Now, they said that they can't control it. So I'm sure there's going to be some people in the beta who are just hats off streaming this and creating content right out of the gate. But we have a much closer relationship with
Well,
Mavia,
it makes sense
and I
for
want to
them
make sure that we're
to
doing it right.
establish the boundary right now. This is what we're
Yep,
expecting. You guys can do what you want, but you know what we'll like and what we won't like.
that's
And
right.
so in the future, if somebody goes off the handle and starts making a bunch of videos, they'll know that Mavia is not that's not their prerogative. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Because
So
it's
it's
been
important
communicated.
to us, I think, for anyone that got in this first round to really take the feedback process
I'm
serious
so
so that we
excited
can
that I
help.
was chosen as one of the few who was to make it
Yes.
into the first round of testing.
Right.
And I mean, I like that that I was chosen because we have done quite a bit of game testing at Blue Ocean, and we're getting more sort of used to doing like beta testing and alpha
Yes.
testing for projects and things like that. So it kind of fits into the work that we do already.
That's why I think it made
Um,
sense for Mavia.
but
And I
I'm
mean,
hoping that that wasn't the reason why they chose us. I'm hoping that they chose us just the same
I think
as
it was
anybody
probably
else.
a multitude of things. Like, I thought of that too. I was like, well, they know about our research team. They know about the feedback process, how we're beta testing for other games. So naturally, that kind of makes sense to me. But then it was just how active we were in the community, part of the elite. We've been around for
Hmm.
more than a year. So I'm sure it was a combination of those factors
Yeah, that's true.
that played in. I don't know if they'll really bullet point list every factor with a percentage criteria and how
I'm
they
not
all
super
figured
worried
it
about
out.
that either. I
Me
just hope
neither.
that the rest of the community doesn't get too worried about it. You know what I
Same.
mean? Everybody's going to get their chance to play the Mavia beta. Probably by the end of June, we'll all be playing it. So
Yeah, I mean,
we all just need to be patient.
this phase is 2 months, and they said everyone's in by the end of the 2 months, and it sounds
That's right.
to me like they are aiming for a month.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna try to do things to help any of you that don't have access get a taste. You know, I'll be doing a lot of streaming in our Discord, in the Mavia's Discord. I'll be creating content. It'll be kind of quick, short form stuff. You know, not our typical studio because it's more about just getting it out to you guys. But that'll allow us to start discussing stuff. I'll be able to start discussing attack strategies, movement patterns of troops. You know, the statistics on like hit points, this troop versus that
And the
troop.
truth is that the long and short of it is that this game is going to be a lot different than other games in the base
Yeah.
builder industry because of its omnidirectional nature and because of certain units that are able to do things that in other base builders were
Can't.
typically not doable. You know, for example, I think there's a unit that can like catapult your units away from the rest of your units, breaking formations.
Yep.
And breaking formations is a really, really huge change
Yes.
to something like Clash of Clans, where when you have your formation, that's just what it is, and that's how it goes. You know what I mean? So
I'm
now
very
you
interested in
can
that
have
too.
people in their defense knowing that a certain formation might be coming towards them and placing catapults in particular places to break those particular formations. Who knows what those might be? But the point is that the meta is going to be a lot more complicated.
Yes, it will. And I've kind of been bugging them about this for a year straight. Traps. Like, tell me about traps. Tell me more about traps. And they really haven't. And there's only one picture I ever found where it looked like there's this little, like, nail gun trap thing where it had all these nails sticking out of it. So you can almost imagine it's like an anti-infantry type trap. But I haven't seen anything else. So I'm very curious on that. Is the base building perspective. That's something I'm going to probably spend more time in the game doing than even attacking. You know, because I want to make extensive guides for HQ level 1 base building, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we know it goes up to HQ 5, and that's kind of the limitation.
For
So
now.
another thing is, can we even get to HQ 5? Can we buy Ruby to speed up that process? Probably not.
Well, it's
So
not
there's a lot
minted,
of-
right? It's not minted yet, so
No,
we don't
yeah,
have we don't
right?
have the coin yet,
So
which
there-
means that
we can't.
we're all going to be playing effectively the same way that a free to play player might play
Yes.
that, or they'll be giving us synthetic Ruby in order to play the game.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how that plays out too, because is there a way to push, you know, your base progression, or is it simply, you know, through monetization, like maybe so the company can make some money? I don't think
Well,
so.
I also think that, and through the Mavia town halls, they've communicated that they're more focused right now on ironing out gameplay than they
Yes.
are ironing out the tokenomics. Right now, they have a legal team that's re-reviewing their tokenomics again anyway. So once I'm sure that legal team is doing their job, and we don't have to worry too much about that. They're more worried about the game being ironclad and
Yes.
sound and in its actual playing and operating.
And they actually just made an announcement about that, about how they've decided to keep their new Ruby model kind of coveted. Reason being, it is an Apple compliant model, the first of its kind in Web3. Actually, from what it sounds like, even beyond what Axie was able to kind of coordinate with
It
Apple.
sounds like it, yeah.
So what they realized is there's a lot of competitors out there and a lot of other projects that are really waiting for that information so that they can replicate.
They
or
can use it
duplicate
as a precedent.
So Mavia's made the executive decision, we're not going to release that information yet. And I actually think that was really smart. Now, of course, it's a little disappointing because I'd love to have more information, be able to map out and strategically plan, think about ROIs and all that
Then
fun
I
stuff.
would love to be able to close off the confidence rating with a solid 90% and describe exactly why Mavia gets a 90% in their
Right.
tokenomics section. But I don't know if that's going to be the truth yet because I don't have that information yet.
But at the same time, we don't need it, right? Like
I'm not
the
worried
point you
about it. It's just
made.
that it's definitely going to be an update that I make once it becomes a public piece of information.
But that's kind of the point I'm making is with what you just referenced. We don't need it yet. The beta is about the gameplay and
That's
ironing
right.
that out and providing feedback. So really, at the end of the day, do we need to know the new Ruby token model? No.
Two
But do
to
we,
3 months from now, we'll want to know.
But do we know that they've obviously ironed it out and figured it out with their legal team? Yes, because they wouldn't have made that announcement. So just like all the other innovation they're doing in this space, you know, the anti-cheat thing is what probably my favorite, to be honest.
It's honestly there. I haven't seen another project, and I've reviewed a lot of projects. I've not seen another project with this particular approach, I guess, to anti-cheating. I tried to explain it to my dad. My dad is 63, and he's not a very tech savvy person. I told him, imagine if you were playing a game of chess against somebody else, and then on the side there are two other people who are playing a game of chess, and if you try to make a move that on the other side the person cannot make, the game is off.
Yeah.
That's basically it. You have two concurrent games of chess, and the issue there, from a developer point of view, is how do you make a computer run two games of chess efficiently?
Yes.
And really, what they're doing is they have one good, beautiful-looking game of chess that's running on your machine, and then another synthetic game of chess that you can't see that's taking another probably 50 or 40% of processing power to ensure that both of those games are the exact same, and then it's a really really solid strategy,
It
and it's
really
pretty
is.
elegant, honestly.
And then so we've seen them innovate in that, which was huge for me because that's what destroyed Clash of Clans for me back in the day was the whole cheating, separation, toxic
Yeah, the
nature of
fork, the
community.
quote unquote fork.
Yeah, which then they took back and changed. And even now, there's still issues with some hacking and stuff. But and then 3D rendered models on mobile. It was like, wait, okay, now you're innovating with your assets too. Like this is going to be one of the first mobile games ever to use fully 3D.
Well,
rendered
there are
models.
comparisons I could make to other games. If you remember way back in the day when you played a game like Street Fighter 2 Turbo on your SNES or something like that, and they would talk about hitboxes. Hitboxes
Yes.
were literally exactly that. They were a little box like this, invisible box. Somebody has a hurt box, like their foot might have a hurt box like this on it, and if the two boxes touch, then damage occurs, and that's how that works.
Yep.
Well, nowadays with the advent of 3D models and wireframes and the way that those work now, there are no longer boxes. It's literally the boundaries of somebody's three-dimensional shape,
Yes.
and whether or not those three-dimensional shapes collide or not will be the result of a hit or a miss. And applying that sort of technology to something like Clash of Clans, which used to be two-dimensional, eight-way,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, is huge.
Yeah, it is.
Because the actual
You're going from
ramifications
one
of,
huge box to many, many.
well, you're also going from the ramifications of like you know, how something can be affected by something else. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you've got mortars that do area damage. They no longer do full damage in a 9-tile radius. They do damage based on how close you are to that thing, and that can be measured in an exact and precise term and using physics. You know what I mean? Because those engines are at play now, and it's just absolutely crazy. None of that was at play in a game like Clash of Clans.
Yeah,
So
so I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that yes, there's going to be similarities to Clash, but there's going to be
a lot of differences. It's going to be a very, very different game, and I'm excited about that. I want to learn this new game. I don't want to learn Clash of Clans.
Yeah, me too. And the strategy, I mean, I kind of like your perspective versus mine too, because I have the deep background in Clash from a competitive high levels perspective. That was something you never got into. So, but you, I know, love strategy. You're really good at strategic type games. I think you're going to thrive in something like this. So I'm going to be curious to kind of see your journey as well, delving into this, comparing your knowledge with other games and how you can apply it here.
The min-max sweat perspective.
Oh man, because I relate it to Magic cards or poker. Clash of Clans was the hardest game ever.
Wow.
And in my opinion, it is still the hardest game ever.
That's something.
The skill variance and learning adoption curve is exponential, meaning no two players will ever be identical.
Yeah,
you can never run into two players that have all the same strategies, use all the same muscle memory. There's always nuances and intricacies and differences. And poker or Magic kind of remind me of that, where you don't just get to this level and there's a bunch of people all on the same level, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
what makes
That's
this
true. You have
unique.
a bunch of people with toolkits that are just a little bit different from each other, and they can and can't do different things, and
That's
no
right.
one is sure. There's no way to be sure if one person will ever be supreme over the others. You know what I mean?
And I think of it like the ultimate RTS. Like I would even
Yeah.
put this higher level than StarCraft or Command and Conquer.
That
or
is a
the
big thing.
RTSs, because those were APM action per minute, knowing all your. I mean, I remember I used to pull off my Windows key when I was playing StarCraft, so I wouldn't accidentally hit it when I was jamming
Yeah,
the
that's
keyboard and
right.
stuff. Take this now. Go to base builder games, and not all base builder games, because I've seen some that have been way too simplified that destroyed the complexity.
Well, so
of
this
the
is also a
strategy.
matter of opinion too. Like some fighting game community enthusiasts would say
That's
that
true.
actions per minute is king, and I love games that are fast, and fast is the best. But there is a limit to how fast you
That's
can
right.
be, and there's also a limit to how fast you can be and think properly, make intelligent decisions, and for people who are watching to be able to understand what's going
Yes.
on. So by that logic, if you lower the physical skill ceiling in actions per minute and raise the skill ceiling intellectually with things like strategy,
Yes.
no longer are there just 8 ways to travel. Now you can travel in any direction. What
That-
strategy can you use with that? Are there going to be people who come out of the woodwork and come up with strategies that are never seen before? Yes,
That's
because there are a
exactly
lot
my
of different
point.
possibilities now, and not just a few. And
That's
it's
right.
not just coming down to physical skill at something.
That's exactly what this is. Because yes, there's the dropping the troops.
Yeah, that's
but
still
a lot
important.
of it is stepping back, watching things unfold, reacting in a timely fashion, making sure you're doing that next tap for a unit at the right time so it meets up with the others. So that's exactly what this does. It takes away the just hammering the keyboard as fast as you can to get as much hotkey stuff in, which is what StarCraft felt like at a competitive level for
That's
me.
what it looked like.
Right? It
I
felt like that
I
for
physically
me.
wasn't capable of moving my fingers that fast, which is why I stopped playing StarCraft. I
It
was
got
like,
to
I
that
don't-
point because
it
if you
doesn't-
you couldn't compete at that level, and I did, and I remember it was very strenuous on the hands and the wrists.
For sure.
It was rough. Now this is like you might have like 15 to 20 to 30 taps on the screen, and otherwise you're moving around, kind of watching things unfold, making reactionary plays. So it gives that higher level intelligence, complexity, strategizing is more of the focus than the APM.
Which is a really, really important thing when it comes to games or anything really that leverages like martial competitiveness. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? This is a martial competitiveness thing. You want to see the mind of your opponent, like chess. You want to be able to see the mind of your opponent and then step past it. Do you know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly.
And with this, you have the ability to do that, but you also have to move fast.
Yes.
And so both are
Oh, you're
necessary
gonna
for a
love it,
really
man.
for a really engaging experience.
You're-
I'm pretty excited about it, honestly.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's definitely what I'm going to be focusing on all weekend. But I have something else that's going to take some of my time away.
Yes,
which,
tomorrow
I
is a kind
talk
of
about.
momentous day. A lot of us at Blue Ocean are huge fans of the old game Ragnorok Online. It's a
Yes.
huge MMORPG. It had 20 plus million members around the same time that World of Warcraft had its height in members and a lot of people still play it to this day. It's a really really popular game. It still
Yep.
plays really well even though the graphics are not 2020 graphics. Well, looks like Gravity has partnered with who did they partner with?
I'm not sure, but definitely a Web3 company to help them with the
Oh, I should know
integration.
the name. That's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, they've made a partner with a Web3 company in order to offer a Ragnarok Online official server that has an NFT marketplace where items can be NFTified and traded on the NFT marketplace.
We've all been waiting for this. I mean, there's
Um,
Ragnarok Labyrinth, there's Ragnarok Online 2, there's all these kind of
So yeah,
remakes.
Ragnarok Labyrinth Ragnarok NFT. They put the word NFT in the title to draw the Web3 crowd in, but there really weren't any NFTs in this game.
No.
And people were expecting to get Ragnarok, but what they really got was the phone version of Ragnarok. Some people are really fans of that game, but the truth is that the phone versions of Ragnarok were never quite as technical as the
No.
original version of Ragnarok
Or
Online.
as open world expansive.
Or as open, yeah. Now this version of Ragnarok Online will be much like the classic version that you remember.
Yeah.
From my understanding, they're going to be using not pre-renewal mechanics, but renewal mechanics. And what happened was sometime in I want to say 2010 or 2011, somewhere around that time, Ragnarok Online Gravity introduced a new set of mechanics for the original Ragnarok Online to overhaul the gameplay,
Yep.
increase the maximum level, and do a bunch of other stuff like that. Now we're going to be at the point, episode 10.4, a point in time in their timeline where we don't have the increased max level yet.
Yep.
But based on the language that they've been using in describing their gameplay systems, I suspect that we will be having renewal mechanics, which
Yes.
means you won't be able to get instant casting. You'll be able to get,
Mm.
there will be variable cast time and fixed cast time, and there will be hard defense and soft defense and a curve and things like that that are the newer version
More
and not the older
balanced.
version.
I like
which
that.
were a little bit more balanced, but they were different. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And some people are proponents of the old, and some proponents of the new.
Do you know what they plan on doing with the whole Landverse? The name
So,
being Landverse. I'm like,
Yes,
is there
I
land?
do. I've read a
Okay.
couple things about it. I don't know exactly how far along they are with this, but what I know is that, and this is what a lot of people might know about Ragnarok Online. The version of Ragnarok Online that we're playing, 10.4, has 123 maps.
Yep.
23 of them are safe maps or public maps like towns or something like that. But 100 of them are just maps
Yep.
that you have to traverse to go through go from place to place, that you have to spend time grinding in to find the things that you want, that you have to do quests in, etc., etc. Well, as I understand it, they're going to have a collection of 100 NFTs where each NFT represents
wow,
a single
okay.
map in their server. Well, that's
Ooh,
absolutely
dang.
nuts. That's absolutely nuts. That means that you could take your favorite map from Ragnarok Online and own that map. And it could be,
I
you know what I
think of
mean?
5 to 10 right off
I
the
can
top
think of
my
a
head.
few maps off the top of my head too that I'd like
Yeah.
to own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I wonder what the incentive is. Is there a tax collected from people farming?
There is an incentive. So a lot of these maps will have, and I think all of these maps, if I'm not mistaken, will have the ability for users who are on them to mine. What do they call it? Adamantium or
Yes.
adamantine, I think they call it.
Okay.
And I guess that's their currency that they're going to be using for. I guess I would say the operation of the game, but what I really mean is like things like refining your equipment and like breeding your pets and things like that originally in Ragnarok Online were done with just regular materials,
Yes.
can now be enhanced by using this adamantium. For example, in regular Ragnarok Online, you would get 600 daggers, let's say, that you get 500 of them to +7 before 100 of them break, and then you try to get all of those ones to +8. Well, 50 of them broke, and now you've got a few of them left, and you get those ones. You know what I mean? And so the success chance for refining things and for upgrading things, and there will be a system where items can be combined to make them even stronger. Some of these systems have been added to add a little bit of depth to the game, and some of them have been added to balance the game.
Okay.
And I can see ways that Ragnarok Online will benefit from this. It really means that there won't be that one map where everybody wants to go to because everybody's trying to farm that one thing from that one
Yes.
map. The wealth and the things that you want to find will be distributed across the entire world.
That
And
also
so
makes it good buying the land because now you're not.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing I think of. Buy the land where I would see all the people farming all the time.
Well, that's another thing. So one of the other things that they've changed is that they've changed the stats for some of the monsters, their drop pools, and their levels, so that it doesn't make sense for one person or one team to ever go to a single place to try to farm something, because you could be finding that thing probably at a better rate by going to different places, completing quests, and engaging in the actual gameplay of the game instead of just farming a single map.
And I know you can still pre-register right now. And I'm curious about all the pre-registration beta rewards because they did say that the game's going to be reset after the beta, so we know that. But there's all these things that we can work on collecting for the launch, I believe.
Oh,
so that
really?
we'll have there's in the email it sent me it showed like 15 different kind of loot boxes and all this stuff.
Oh, I'm going to open that email as soon as I get
right
home.
that we can
And I will let
earn.
you know exactly if the things that you get from those loot boxes are Ragnarok Online items. I'll be able to let you know
Some
which
of
of those
them are-
things are worth our time and which of them are not, and which of them we can make ourselves and which of them we can't.
Can't wait. I'm excited about the mining aspect too, and just the like. It feels to me like they finally went, okay, we did Labyrinth. We're working with Web3. Let's just overhaul the game that we know everyone loves, and like this is the dream come
A
true
lot of
for
people
me.
have been just waiting for this, and they're like, when are they just going to figure it out and do
Yeah.
this? When are they just going to figure it out
Right?
and do this? And now they've finally done it, and they've done it in a
But
way
it's
where
officially done
they've
too.
done it in a way where we're no longer. It's not a bunch of Ragnarok Online. I guess Labyrinth Ragnarok NFT, the way that they had that set up, was not very clear in the way that you could participate in the game universe in order to earn.
That's
do you know
right.
what I mean?
It wasn't.
Anybody who's played a classic MMORPG knows exactly why the items in the MMORPG are valuable.
That's
It's
right.
because certain people will need them for certain character builds to do certain things inside of
Yes.
the world. Well, one other thing that I'm really excited about is that Ragnarok Online, like World of Warcraft, is a game where you can have guilds as big as 56 people.
Yeah.
And you can have parties as big as 12 people.
Mhm.
Well, some bosses are going to require multiple parties of 12
That's right.
in order to fell those bosses. And furthermore, they're going to make those maps where you'll be fighting those bosses PvP maps, which means that you're going to have groups of people fighting other groups of people for control over a boss fight.
Yeah, this is awesome. I can't
So anyway,
wait.
this is these are like I guess mechanics that you would say inside of MMORPGs that I haven't played with in a very long time because I haven't had a guild large enough or motivated enough to do it.
We will now.
And so a lot of those people are going to come back out of the woodwork to play Ragnarok Online again.
Yes.
A lot of World of Warcraft people who played Ragnarok Online are going to come out, and I'm just really excited.
You know what? That reminds me. We should get the Discord a little reorganized to start recruiting for people for Ragnarok Online.
That's a
and get
very,
Bog
very
going.
good idea.
And we can tell everyone from the Ragnarok Labyrinth NFT that we're moving over there.
Maybe we can get them to put a link inside of the description of this video or something. If anybody's interested in joining our Ragnarok Online guild,
Yes.
we have a strategist. We have a bunch of people already. We know what we're doing. And if you guys like high-level Ragnarok Online play, please join us.
Yeah, definitely. Come over to the Discord. We'll have the channel up for it. We'll have research reports done when we have more information on it. And yeah, we're going to
My initial report about Ragnarok Land versus done. And it does list all of the changes that they've made between vanilla Ragnarok Online and the current what they propose to be
awesome.
throwing out there. So if you do want to read that really quickly before you jump into the game, you'll have an idea of what differences there
I
might
totally
be.
will, and I recommend everyone else watching does too. Well, let's do a follow-up on both of these. I'd love to do another Coffee and Crypto in the coming weeks.
That's a
talking
great
about
idea.
how Mavia went and our experience and how Ragnarok
Yeah, we'll
is
do like
going
next
in our
week will be like the
experience.
post-launch. How did things go?
Right, yeah.
That sounds good.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. As always, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps us out. Smash that like button, and until next time, cheers.